when I was just at the beginning of my transition, there was a new bar that was open for a while on 105th Street. It was sort of straight and gay. Remember seeing 4 or 5 guys come in, and they walked like a unit with purpose, and I saw them come up to the first person and push the person, and they got closer and closer, and they pushed me. I was thrown back, and then they went around, pushed a few more people, and then left. They were just like gay bashers, but whatever I was to them was not acceptable. The aggression and violence is frightening.
There was a lot of homophobia on the street. I mean, if I don't walk down the street wearing what they're selling to the metrosexual boys today and walk down Jasper Avenue, they would stop and call out faggot. And it wouldn't be the first time that you weren't called faggot on the street just because of what you were wearing.
You know, I don't know how valid the fears were, but the fears are definitely there. Yeah. You know, your phone is tapped. Because at that time, the RCMP were keeping lots of records on gays and lesbians. It's funny how, you know, we just came to accept those things. Yeah.
The times were such that everyone my age had this internalized homo, this shame, okay, this self-hatred for being gay. And you try to push it aside, but it's there.
We very much created community, and it was very safe, and it was comfortable, and we felt good in it. At the same time, we're living in a society that's very redneck. Alberta was still very much, let's round up all those gays and put them in a concentration camp. I mean, we were hearing some of this from our politicians, our MLAs, and so we couldn't live openly. We couldn't be ourselves openly. When we were amongst ourselves, it was comfortable, it was good, but in our everyday lives and our work and such, we had to be closeted. We had to be very careful, and especially those of us who had employers that could be, for either religious or political reasons, very anti-gay. You had to live a double life if you were going to live fully. Otherwise, some people just stayed closeted and never really enjoyed what was available to them as a gay person.
A lot of that conversation was quite acceptable in Alberta at that time at political levels, and et cetera, and that too. In one sense, you kind of get used to it. In another sense, it bothers you. It bothers me. And the hardest was right after the Delwyn Green decision. All this negative stuff took over in the media, newspaper, radios, TVs. It was just awful. I started to get at my office at City Hall a lot of phone calls that were saying awful stuff and threatening. The number of calls increased to such that the staff, there had to be some temporary staff brought in to answer phone calls that I was getting. And there was just this huge number of negative stuff. City security that also dealt with City Hall, et cetera, and that. It had met with me and said that they wanted to increase security. And they brought the police in as well. And that they wanted to know all the time kind of where I was, and also that I would take different routes going places and take serious some of the things that were being said. It was tough for my staff. It was tough for city staff. Oh man, some of those folks that answered the phones, I mean, that was just amazing. The client in the province had made this happen, let this happen by opening the door, and they needed to say that we're citizens and that respect the Supreme Court, and it will end. I then received a ton of mail, letters, and phone calls thanking me, or something to that effect. But it still is a very painful time, kind of thing for me. It was very difficult. And I knew it wasn't just me. I mean, it was anybody who was gay and lesbian, kind of thing, and that. And the knowing how it was affecting everyone else, and it was so uncalled for.
It was getting absolutely horrible. I was getting more hate phone calls. Michael was getting death threats. Michael and I both had police protection for a few days at one point because it was getting so bad. We said, we will start to back off, but you have to talk to the right wing of your caucus and tell them to shut the hell up. I still have friends that will not go for coffee or meet me for lunch because they are concerned if they're seen with me, it's guilt by association, and if you're out with Murray Billett in this town, you must be gay.
I remember getting hauled into my boss's office. Now, my partner, Catherine, and I had been camping on the weekend, and turned out that my boss at social services and his wife were like 2 campsites down, and we didn't know. And so we spent Saturday evening drinking and playing cards with them. And then on Monday morning, he called me into his office and said, you need to know that the staff have been complaining about you, about how you are and how you're one of those people. I remember being told by him that, like, we've had other people like you around, but they didn't talk about it. And some people don't like the fact that you talk about it openly. The shunning is constant. It's just there as part of your life.
I remember driving to Vancouver one year. We'd stopped Spirit River or somewhere, and it was late. And we stopped at a motel. And Scott went in, and I stayed in the car. And he booked a room, and then I slipped in later. There's no way they would have put us in the room together.
I was interviewed on the radio, and I got home from doing that. Somebody, well, I guess because my name was given, and they look up my phone number in the phone book, somebody called me and said, people like you were an abomination, and I wish you'd take a 2x4 and hit yourself on the head, sort of thing.
My family couldn't understand the fact I was transitioning. My younger sister told me she had to take a year off from seeing me. My older brother, a few years prior, had started what turned out to be a 15-year absence from talking to me. I was feeling quite all alone.
There are no new struggles. They're just the same thing in a different package.